Okay, so I'm not a YouTuber at all. I don't think I plan on ever really making YouTube videos. It's not my type of thing. I'm bad at talking to cameras or talking in general. So I'll stick to like modeling and all that. But I keep seeing the TikTok Galaxy Gas Epidemic videos and all that bullshit on TikTok. I'm seeing kids nozzing out, apparently calling, there's a name for it now, airheads, which I just 6 months ago, I couldn't walk because of nerve damage due to doing whippets. Back then, we weren't calling each other airheads. As a DJ, as someone who's part of the EDM community where nitrous is like used a lot, obviously, along with a lot of other drugs. I've been in cardiac arrest from fentanyl. I've been through fentanyl addiction. I've been through every addiction really that I can think of besides like crack and meth. And I've still never been hooked on something as bad as I was on whippets. Specifically tanks. Like, it was when tanks really started becoming a thing, like, holdable size tanks that you could like bring around, not the huge ones that you'd find at a rave and like fill balloons with, but like, the tanks that are now coming out like Galaxy Gas. That's when it became a huge thing for me. Before that, like, it's too much work to fucking fill a cracker and pop it and all that. But, my point is, I am only 22 years old and I have permanent nerve damage due to doing these. And it's not from years of doing them, because years of doing them doesn't lead to this. I have been doing them episodically because I've been in the psych ward, unrelated, but when I was in the psych ward, I was in a wheelchair and I had to, talk about every drug that I have done, and I explained, which I'll explain in a little bit, that I had done whippets ever since 2021, but episodically, which means, like weekends, randomly, socially. What it leads to is when I went through a psychotic episode, because I have a psychotic disorder, completely unrelated. You cannot go into psychosis because of Galaxy Gas. You cannot go into psychosis because of nitrous. I don't think it can. That's what they told me in the psych ward, at least. But I used it nonstop as an escape for 6 months during this episode. I was using whippets every day. I was hitting these tanks all the time. All my money was going to it. I didn't have an ID, so I wasn't even buying them myself. Like, I couldn't walk either. Like, when I left the city I am living in now to go get help, which instead I was enabled and taken advantage of. But that's a story for another time. But in this span of 6 months, I lost my ability to walk because at first it started with just my legs feeling numb. I remember saying, like, my legs feel kind of numb. And then the person I was with at the time was like, that's seriously concerning. You need to slow down. And I was like, no. And I kept doing them, then left town, kept doing them. Still couldn't walk. But was continuing to do them because I was in psychosis. Like, it was an escape, and at this point I didn't care, like, about what happened to me, really. But, so, keep in mind this, like, 2 months into it, all right? I already couldn't walk. 3 months into it, I'm fully in psychosis, can't walk, nerve damage, whole body. I literally wake up at one point in the hospital. I don't know what happened this night. No fucking clue. I just remember waking up in the hospital at like 3 a.m., my whole body just numb, and then freaking out and being like, I didn't consent to being here, and leaving. I'm 22 years old. Keep this in mind. Like, that's what I mean. I didn't try my first, like, whippet until, like, 2021. It took 3 years of episodically doing it, and then a few months of using hard to lose my ability to walk. I was in a wheelchair. I was in the hospital 4 times. I was an inpatient in another city, and then I was an inpatient in this city in a court order facility in a wheelchair. This was after being sober for 4 months because I still could not walk. And I was still in psychosis. That's why I was in a psych ward. Keep in mind, you can't go into psychosis from whippets, but you can literally ruin your body. So yeah, it took 6 months of not walking, and then about 3 months of relearning how to walk. A wheelchair. I had to walk around with a walker like an old lady at 22 years old. And then I had to be in a wheelchair again when I was an inpatient again, before I finally could walk. And it was so hard to relearn to walk, and I was still falling. Like, it's like walking with a peg leg. Like, it was so hard to walk. And now the bottoms of my feet are permanently numb, and will probably always be. I can't feel grass, like if I want to go walk out in grass. And this is just my experience. People say my body will react differently. No, it will not. It won't. Like, you're not just going to beat nerve damage, no. Like, you can take B12, but if you look up the research on B12 and nitrous at the same time cancel each other out, so it's not going to work. I told myself that too. I had sores all over my mouth and couldn't talk. I was mute for a while. Couldn't eat. Like, and you guys are doing this shit at school? You guys are teenagers doing this? In my opinion, it should be banned from all shops. And that's all I have to say on it. I'm not a YouTuber, like I said. I just wanted to share my experience because it's a trend to be whipping out on fucking social media now. Anyways, follow me. I'll link my socials below. But